I got to get a cool introduction like you, Anthony. Heck, what is going on, everybody? Welcome back to the show. Welcome back to Collecting Profit, episode number 38. 38 episodes, 38 weeks in a row. We are rocking and rolling. We have a wonderful guest tonight. Looking forward to it. We're going to get to him in a second. But Anthony, my brother, my partner, how you doing, man?
Good, man. Excited to talk to Tim this week. For any of you guys that don't know me and Michael switch back and forth every week. So make sure you come check out Picksburgh so you can see next week's episode, which will be equally as cool. But unfortunately, we will not have a beard as cool as Tim's on next week's episode. So, Tim, I guess for the people that may not know you, Michael also came from the reselling world as well. I'm not sure if you're familiar with the Thrifting Goomba. That was his other channel. But for anybody that's not familiar with you, either from your card content or your reselling content, can you give us a rundown of kind of who you are and what you do?
Yeah, so my name's Tim. I live in Washington, D.C. I am a full-time reseller. I also do content creation, and I do the sports world as well. So I'm an absolute sports junkie. I grew up playing sports at like a pretty high level, and I do a football show that's based upon the NFC East, but we also do fantasy football. That's called Authentic in the Beard.
Oh, wow.
That does. We are live 4 days a week. So my co-host does an all New York Giants show on Monday. Tuesdays we do recap shows from the week before the Sunday games, and then Thursday we do preview shows, and then Sunday morning we do a fantasy and betting show. So I'm entrenched in that world during football season. I'm sure you guys can see I'm a Washington Commanders fan when it comes to football, Notre Dame fan when it comes to college football. I'm a Maryland Terps fan for basketball, college basketball. Capitals and Wizards, but I'm an Orioles fan. I'm one of the last of the dying breed of an Orioles and Commanders fan. Well, formerly known as the Redskins. But yeah, so I do a ton of selling as far as sports cards go. Like I'd say 80% of my sports cards is done on Whatnot. I do obviously 20% outside of that, but I've been doing that for a long time. I am a bargain box like champ. That is my style. I love the bargain box. I do all sports too. So like literally baseball, football, basketball, hockey, soccer. I like off the wall stuff. So like, like random sports cards. Like if I find like a mountain biking card or like a rock climbing card, like I'm intrigued. I like vintage. Nice. Modern, it doesn't matter to me. Like I try to find the like stuff that you just can't find every day. And then also I do a ton of sports memorabilia, which is kind of like a passion too. I mean, obviously all sports stuff related is a passion, but like sports memorabilia is probably the hardest thing for me to let go. I have gotten better at it. But I keep a few cool pieces. Oh man, I gotta show you guys this really fast, okay?
John, if you can't tell, Tim is a Washington Commanders fan like you are.
That is insanely
cool. Wow.
And it has a Nintendo controller. My God. That is like the coolest thing I've ever seen.
How cool is that?
Yeah, that has to find a place. That has to stay at home.
Yeah, this is what I had to keep. So I do have a Mike Tyson autographed ringside bell also. But
that's awesome.
Yeah, so like sports memorabilia I love, man. It's just I just anything I can do, obviously, like, with sports, it's a very tough line between collecting and selling. Like I don't necessarily like to use the word flipper when it comes to sports cards, and I don't like to use the word investor either. Like I feel like it's a combination of the two. Like I really do my homework. So like for me, like that's the big thing. Like especially when it comes to baseball, I've leaned towards more baseball because I feel like the pool of value in cards is a lot better in baseball than it is any other sport. So for me, from a selling standpoint, I've leaned more towards baseball, but I do have some PCs, obviously. So I'm sure we'll talk about stuff like that. But yeah, that's a
sure.
rundown on me. Very minimum rundown. I'm a pretty complex individual.
When you
sure.
so, well, first, number one, you said you're a bargain box guy. Is
Mhm.
that the main way you get your cards to sell on Whatnot and your other selling
Yeah,
sites?
so as far as sourcing goes, and for cards to sell, because no matter what, you're like anytime I'm going to go buy cards for myself, I end up sourcing cards to sell, and vice versa. So like it always works out that way. So obviously, like I do bargain boxes at I have two local card shops that I go to, and I've been very fortunate enough to build like very strong relationships with those stores. So like they take care of me. They know I'm coming there, they know I'm going to be spending money, and like, they take really good care of me. So I'm very fortunate for that. I do breaks, obviously, not as much as I used to. Just because it got it, like everybody understands, it got super pricey, and
Yep.
so like I have to be very, because I do this as a business. If I want to have, time and fun too, like to add stuff to my PC, I have to be very cautious what I do for my business, because that allows me to buy for myself, so like I don't do as much breaks as I used to, but yeah, I go to those two card shops. I do source on Whatnot too. Obviously it's a great place to source as well. A lot of times it's just you got to be ahead of the curve, because it's so difficult. You can't be like, okay, right now I'm going to go buy Trevor Lawrence, right? Like,
Right.
Yeah.
good luck, Chuck. You know what I'm saying? Like, it's just
Mhm.
for me, it's so difficult. Like, if I'm going to buy something out of a showcase, it's going to be for myself, or it's going to be like a good card and a guy that I think is undervalued at the moment, and I think has the potential to be, bigger, obviously. And
Mhm.
so like for me, like I'm a big numbers guy. I love to crunch the numbers, and not like the comp numbers. Like it can be brutal, man. Sometimes you go to some of these shows and you see
Mhm.
these kids like I mean, like I'm almost 40 years old, you know what I'm saying? And I'm like digging through the quarter box, and these kids are walking around with $6 million worth of cards in a bulletproof case, and I'm just like, where did I go wrong? So it's very interesting how the whole game works, but I love it, because for me, like it's like the best of both worlds of what I do, as far as sports content, and then obviously reselling. So that's how I look at it.
And what you said, I mean, it's something that Anthony and I always talk about. We're like, we go to these shows and there are these friggin' 12-year-old kids who have a friggin', Zion case, and it's worth that what they just have in that little case is worth
Mhm.
more than every card that I freaking own. And I'm like, what the
Yeah.
hell? How does this friggin' happen? What
It's
boat did
insane.
I miss? What boat did I miss?
Yeah, I'm still working my way up to that Zion case too, brother. So don't feel too bad. The beautiful thing though I love about cards is I think back to like the height of like the biggest my eBay store ever was when I was like reselling like everything, and I had like
Might be
roughly
John.
2,000 ish listings. That's like clothing,
Mhm.
shoes, like toys, like basically anything under the sun. Like right now, I have damn near 4,000 listings, just cards, and it literally takes up one shelf in my room.
Yeah,
I
yeah.
love it. It's like so much easier.
That is, I will tell you that that's the truth. So like the room I'm in
Mhm.
right now, this is like my broadcast studio. So like where I
Mhm.
do like, all my studio stuff, but this is also where I do like my card shows. And so like, like I have tons of boxes, 2 row, 5 rows, 6 rows, stuff like that. And then, you know, I have a bunch of boxes over here, because what I like to do is I've been trying to get with, there's a children's hospital here in DC. So
Mhm.
like not just like just throwaway cards, but like good cards, but like cards that just are like in that in between market. And I've been
Mhm.
trying to team bag them up and donate them to the children's hospital to like give
Yeah.
to the kids. You know what I'm saying? So like I got a ton of boxes of that stuff that I've been working on, as just like a little side project to kind of like give back to the community a little bit. You know what I'm saying? But like,
pretty cool, man.
It's so true about that because I sell a lot of glass and antiques and stuff. So like that stuff takes up massive amounts of room because it's not like I could just throw it in a tote. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So like with cards and stuff like that, the memorabilia is a little bit more difficult. I have right here next to me, I have two extremely large framed jerseys. So
nice.
I got a Calvin Johnson autographed framed jersey, but it has like the pictures on the side. So I mean, it's huge. And then I have a Kurt Schilling Arizona Diamondbacks one too. So I do have those as well. But like, yeah, it's I love the memorabilia. It's so much fun. So back there, that's Terry McLaurin on the helmet and Chase Young on the football. And then up top, I got Cal Ripken, Brooks Robinson, bunch of that stuff also. So
nice,
very cool. Yeah, I'm talking to
John. John was just saying he's glad to hear that there's at least one hospital taking them up here in PA. None will.
Yeah,
I have literally a whole trunk full of cards that have been there since February. My girlfriend's like, dude, you need to get rid of these cards.
It's tough because like that's the thing is that like that's why like I have to like work with them to try and make it so that it like they can take it. So like it's a lot of things like. It sounds crazy because you're like, hey, I just want to give these kids some cards, but it's like a lot of hoops that you have to go through sometimes. Yeah. But there are still a lot of places, and if you can't get them to the hospital, there's tons of places that you can find. If you just do a little bit of research, like even some of the local card shops, they have like you can give some to them, and like they have like a little box that they give to kids when they come and stuff like that. So. I just try to find certain ways because I mean it's like a win-win for me. Like I can make some kids. I mean, we just talked about the kids who walk around with 6 million, right? But some kids just want to have the card of their favorite player, and sometimes it's so difficult to do that in today's hobby. Like so, it's like my little cousin on my wife's side. He's a huge Juan Soto fan. So like I just stack Juan Soto cards, right? And awesome. Anytime he does something good, does good in school, something like that, like, or awesome, like it's his birthday, communion, something like that. I'm like, hey, I got something for you. And I just slide him a Juan Soto card, and just it reminds me of what I loved when I was that age. You know what I'm saying? Like, I was out the hobby for a long time. Like, I was 8 years old. My parents were at the flea market. They were selling, like antiques, and I was selling sports cards, and I was making more money at times than my parents were. This is like early 90s, 92, 93, 94.
Yeah.
I was killing it. Fell in love with the hobby, obviously, because I was a sports person. But like most people, we got our hearts broken. Are you an old school, new school, or both for Redskins? So I am a Washington Commanders fan. I have come to the realization that name, the Redskins, is never going to come back. It's gone. It has its history, but I do collect massive amounts of Redskin memorabilia. So like all my jerseys are still Redskin jerseys. 100% of my hats. Like I have new T-shirts and stuff like that, Commanders, but I still rock all Redskin stuff. But I'm also a sucker for vintage clothing. So, but yeah, I was crushing it. Like most of us, I got my heart broken when I realized that. The 1952 Mickey Mantle sort of ideology of cards in the 90s wasn't going to come true, and that we weren't all going to be millionaires. So like, like I got a little bit older, I was more focused on playing sports and watching sports than I was collecting cards. And then I'm a big Gary Vee guy. So I followed Gary Vee like early. Like I've been following Gary Vee for like 7+ years. Right.
Oh, wow.
So like I've been like, so I listen to him like faithfully, and he's not everybody's cup of tea. And I understand that, you know what I'm saying? But like, to me, I understood him, like the way he like communicated, I could understand. And so like, I listened to what he was saying. And one day he started talking about basketball cards. And I was like, wait, I didn't even know they made basketball cards or football cards or baseball cards anymore. I had no idea. So like I'm like Upper Deck, you know what I'm saying? Like I had no idea. And so they started talking about Giannis, and I'm like, man, this is crazy. So I walk into a Target and I see cards, and I'm like, man, they are making cards. So I bought a pack of Contenders football, and I pulled a LaVisca Chenault Jr. card that was numbered to 10, and I was hooked again. And so like I have like and because of that, I have like a crazy LaVisca Chenault Jr. collection.
That's awesome.
And so like really cool. That's what brought me, but it's wild because I had to completely relearn the hobby. It was nothing like what it was when I was in it last. So like that whole process took time, and then a lot of mistakes, and then obviously like halfway through that process, COVID boom. So that completely changed everything too, you know, and it's like, but I was smart. I didn't buy crazy. Like I was very smart about my buying, you know, from the beginning. The one thing I probably regret was not selling.
Yeah.
I think a lot of people probably feel that same way, but it wasn't like I didn't have anything that was like, you know, $100,000 card or anything like that. But I mean, I probably missed a boat on a lot of stuff, you know, but it was fun. And it was during the time of COVID. I mean, everybody was, you know, looking for something to do. And so like, but it was a learning lesson that I take with me moving forward, you know, as far as in the hobby.
Well, I think a lot of people didn't sell because it was the fear that it was that if this doesn't go down, oh my gosh, this $5,000 card I had is going to be $50,000.
Exactly.
You know, and I think that's where, you know, I think when that happened, I think that's when investors, and I don't mean, to me, an investor is not somebody who buys a card, you know, in January and sells it in November or even the next January. To me, an investor is someone who looks and says, I'm putting this away. And in 5, like to me, an investor looks a lot more long-term. They don't look short-term, you know. To me, those are just, you know, high-end flippers. I'm a low-end flipper. They're high-end flippers, stuff like that. But I think some people, they got involved and they said, oh my gosh, I can hold this for 5 years. And this card's going to go up to $40,000, $50,000, $60,000, man, and I'm going to be all set and stuff. And I think, you know, that's, you know, that hurt a lot of people. It hurt the people who bought on, let's say, the people who jumped in at that time frame. They're the ones that got hurt because they were buying this when the thing was going here.
Yeah.
You know, and stuff like that. So a lot of
the
people
Lucas, the trays, all that stuff, like, I mean, it got really crazy, and I that's why it says like I don't necessarily feel bad, but I do feel bad for a lot of people because, you know, and it's not necessarily like a bad thing, but a lot of people got hooked in, man, and they got led down the wrong path, and I think that was what the problem was. Like I don't think there's anything wrong with being in the hobby as a collector and being in the hobby as a flipper, because that's how it's been for forever. Like people make it seem like people haven't been selling cards since way back when. Card shows have been happening for forever. You know what I'm saying? So it's not like this is a new phenomenon. I feel like sometimes people give bad reps for flipping, and it's not, you know, but I do think that there were a lot of people out there that were kind of taken advantage of to a certain extent, and it's not necessarily that person's fault. But I think, you know, some people were just a little naive and they didn't do their homework, and that sort of thing happens. You know what I'm saying? But like, and that's the thing is like I started my other YouTube channel, Over the Years Sports, and then I took a long hiatus from YouTube, and I'm getting ready to relaunch that. And it's like I look at the way that content is made in the card world now, and I think that's why, like, you know, like Kerry, American Arbitrage, his channel does so well is because he's not following into the two niches that the world of card collecting is right now. Like it's either the people who are telling you that the sky is falling, the sports card world is coming to an end, it's all crashing, right? And then you have the people who they go to the card shows and they buy everything out of a showcase, or they buy the whole table or all that, right? It's just there's not a lot of in between as far as content creation goes, and like that's that's kind of what I want to be a part of. Is I don't want to have to tell people that the sky is falling, because look, is the card market down in comparison to COVID? Absolutely. Is the card market down compared to before COVID? Absolutely not. It's
Right.
way higher and way
still
better
higher.
than it was before COVID.
Yep.
So that's a win. But people want to, be dramatic, and they want to, they do it for clicks. And hey, that's what your cup of tea is. Good for you, right? And then it's like the people who buy in cases and stuff like that. It shows like that's not really relatable. It's fun to watch, I guess, for some people, but it's not relatable to everybody, because 90% of us can't walk into a card store and be like, "Hey, I'm gonna buy your whole table. How much?" You know what I'm saying? And I've been at some of these shows. I've seen some of these people, and it doesn't always go down the way that you see it on TV. A lot, on YouTube. Like a lot of times they just say that, but they don't really buy the whole case. You know what I'm saying? Like I've seen a few people do it. Don't get me wrong, but it's just like, I don't know. I always felt like there should be a healthy balance in the hobby between collecting and selling.
Well, look, you made a great point. Yes, buying and selling has been going on forever. I mean, I started, so, you're just about 40. Woo, you missed a young little lad, you and Anthony. So I started collecting cards in 1976. And I did go to some shows, like in the 90s and stuff like that. And yeah, you went to shows. There was buying and selling all the time. The problem you have, though, is there was no YouTube. There was no X. There was no Instagram or Snapchat or any of these other things, right? So it wasn't thrown out into the mainstream. And the other thing is there were only a certain few cards that were the ones that were really making the news per se, about the dollar figure that they were selling for. It's always been the Mantle. It's always been the T206, right? And then when Gretzky came in, and then in the 80s it became, then it started to become, the Michael Jordan. There was a handful, but then all of a sudden now the bigger boom, like you said, of all of a sudden, the Lucas, the Treys, of this guy, that guy, the Shohei, the Trout. Then all of a sudden, when it got to be more, entertainment and value for it, and it got to be more on YouTube and those type of things, that's when all of a sudden everything started coming out of the woodwork of every single type of card. But you're right, this stuff always went ahead and was around.
For sure. We had a question in the chat from John. He was asking Tim what he thought the Commanders' record would be. His guess was 10-7.
I had on my prediction show, I predicted them to go 10-7.
Nice.
So that's what I predicted them to finish the season. And I will tell you, it's gonna be a roller coaster of a year, man. I was very impressed with Sam Howell. So I did like a training camp tour and stuff like that, and I got to see some up close stuff. And the kid can sling the rock. And like, on paper, everything, I'm a big Eric Bieniemy fan. So like I see that as it's going to be translated on the field, but the schedule is brutal schedule. Like we're really going to learn a lot about the Commanders the next 2 weeks against the Bills and the Eagles. But yeah, I had the Eagles winning the division, and I had Commanders at 2, and I had Giants actually at 3 and Cowboys at 4. I completely underestimated the Cowboys, and I think a lot of that had to do with subconscious hate for the Dallas Cowboys. But man, do they look good. Yeah. And that's the thing too, to kind of translate that into the world of cards. I think I looked at that class. For the Commanders and said that this was a absolute monster class, and they were being undervalued in breaks dramatically. And I thought that it was a great opportunity to buy Sam Howell, because I thought the door was going to be open for him to make this transition, and it came out to that. And I'll tell you what, you want to talk about a guy's cards who skyrocketed. That was Sam Howell. Sam Howell's card. He's one of the most popular. I mean, obviously, it's a little bit different for me because I'm local, but Sam Howell his value has gone up a lot. A lot of these guys too, like Jordan Love. I was high on Jordan Love, so high on Jordan Love. I thought coming out of college, he reminded me. I wasn't necessarily saying that he was going to be Patrick Mahomes, but his style of play in college reminded me a lot of Patrick Mahomes. And once again, I looked at the opportunity. You know, he's behind Aaron Rodgers. There's not going to be a lot of pressure. He's going to have some time. And look, this kid, his stuff is going through the roof too. And he's got 6 touchdowns in the first 2 games. You know what I'm saying? So like, I always think it's important to like, you know, look at stuff like that. You got to look at opportunity, you know, and like, because like you can buy the number 1 picked team in a break, right? But you're going to be paying so much money for that. Yep. Now you have to sit there and you got to look at the product, look at the checklist. Okay, you need to know what's in the product before you buy into a break. That's the most important. The best advice I get to people is study the checklist. Okay, because sometimes you can get a good team for like dirt cheap and then you look at their checklist and it's very underrated, but they might have 5 more autographs in that checklist, which is where you're going to get, you know, a good amount of your return on. So like I always suggest looking through the checklist. But man, I stashed Jordan Love cards. I still have, look at this. Still got a box of this sealed.
Nice.
Oh wow.
I mean, look at that. You got on the cover, you got Tua, Burrow, Jordan Love, and Justin Herbert. And obviously Jalen Hurts is in that class too. So like this was a lot of people like, you know, the sealed wax. Like this is Chronicles draft picks, but still, like right now, this box is probably going for like 150, I'd imagine. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, I try to really do the homework. I try to pound that in people's heads, man. If you do your homework and don't necessarily, when I say homework, don't listen to what everybody else is saying. You know, do a little homework.
Well, yeah, I mean, you're 100% correct. I mean, that's what happens. You know, sometimes you got to look at things. You know, people don't realize certain things. They don't, you know, to your point, they don't look deep in a checklist and say, wow, no, I just want the New York Yankees because they're New York Yankees. Well, you realize that, you know, that's one team that usually is always going to have a bunch. But there's another team like, you know, who knows? It may be the Pittsburgh Pirates. It may be the Oakland A's. It may be, you know, the Nationals, where, yes, you may not have a lot of the superstars, but they may have just as many autograph cards. And if you're going to pull those cards out, your chances are probably better because there's not as many of those of getting the, you know, the autograph when there's so many of the other ones. But a lot of people, you know, it's tough. I mean, you know, you know, a lot of people don't want to do that. They just, you know, they want their team, and that's what it is. I think, you know, that's the difference between, you know, breakers people who just buy into breaks because I want my team and I don't really care. And then there are others that are looking for, you know, other things involved in it, you know, like that investment period, you know, time or trying to say, hey, I can get this team for cheap. I get a couple of, you know, like you said, a lot of people were probably sleeping on Sam Howell and stuff like that. But people that were buying the breaks and they were getting numbered Sam Howells, all of a sudden, you know, you paid $15 for the Commanders. Wow, you pulled a couple of Sam Howell number cards, you throw them on eBay now, you got your money back easily.
Exactly. I'll tell you, you said Pittsburgh Pirates. There's a guy on the Pirates that I've been buying in for the last year. And it's a really interesting thing too, is a lot of times you got to look at, specifically in baseball, obviously, and even in football, like when Brock Purdy broke through, right? I was a big Brock Purdy hater. He's proven me wrong so far early in this season, but I just thought it smelled like Mac Jones to me as far as, you know, relating to the hobby. And so, but like one of the big reasons why early on his cards were so expensive and valuable, outside of the reason why, because he was playing well, is because he didn't have a lot of cards, because he was the last pick in the draft. So it wasn't like he was in every print run, in every product, you know? So like things like that, you got to really pay attention to. But for the Pittsburgh Pirates, Endy Rodriguez, who I think has the potential to be an absolute superstar. His first Bowman was with the Mets. It was a first Bowman auto only, you know, like, and outside of that, he only had, up until recently, he was in 2 or 3 other products. So like I was buying all the Endy Rodriguez I could buy because it was like a little pricey, but not like outrageous. And I thought he has the potential to be a huge star in the baseball league. So like, for me, it's like, that's a low risk, but like the amount of card, he doesn't have that many cards. Like Ellie De La Cruz, from the time of his first Bowman to the now, has more cards than Andy Rodriguez, and Andy Rodriguez's first Bowman was like 2 years before Ellie De La Cruz.
Yeah.
So it's like some of these guys, like especially with baseball, you really got to look at the amount of cards, because when they pop, everybody's going to be looking for them, and they're going to be like, where this guy only has like 3 or 4 cards. So it's like, like I bought crazy amounts of Andy Rodriguez, all the Sapphires. I got all the Ray Waves. I got a couple of first autos, and he's been playing pretty good since he got called up. His batting average has gone down drastically over the last month and a half, but I think that entire Pittsburgh Pirates team as a whole, batting average has gone down. Him, Henry Davis as well, but it's those sort of things that you kind of look at. And then for football, Davis Mills. Okay, when that rookie class came out, I was like, bruh, Deshaun Watson is about ready to go down. Okay, why is nobody talking about Davis Mills? Like, I watched him play at Stanford. The kid was a stud, and like I remember the Texans being like $6 in a 1-box Legacy hobby break, like when it first came out, and I'm like, this is like the easy. I mean, Nico Collins, Davis Mills, Brevin Jordan, all in the same rookie class. Yeah, I will take that for $6. I hit a Davis Mills. What do they call that? A Legacy, the Future Stars patch RPAs. I hit a Davis Mills out of 5, and $6 to get into that break. And like I held it until he ended up getting the starting job, and his market skyrocketed. Sold it for like $300. You know what I'm saying? So it's like stuff like that. Like, it's just, it's not always the hype.
Yeah, you're right. And I tell you, when you talk about the like the Bowman ones. Well, one thing I want to say before we get there. So a buddy of mine who he collects more. I mean, he will flip, but he got his box of Bowman Chrome. He opened it today and pulled a /25 Babe Ruth.
Oh yeah, I love that they added these into this product. It's added a really nice twist.
It's like a $2,000 card.
That's wild.
But see, to me, like with the Bowman stuff and those type of cards, I'll hear people and I'll say, hey, what should I do? Should I hold this, that, and the other thing? And to me, my personal opinion, and this is just a baseball thing, not necessarily football or basketball, but in baseball, if you're into that Bowman stuff and you're opening it and everything, and you hit something and a guy pops, unless he's a PC of yours, you're better off to sell when you can, because all you have to do is have one cold streak, or like we've seen a player that happens to play for Tampa Bay have accusations made, nothing proven yet, but have his name brought up in the news, and the next thing you know, boom, it dies. So to me, like with those guys, Ellie De La Cruz is a perfect example, right? His card shot up like crazy, and they're coming back down now because in like the last month he's hitting like 158 or something like that. He's absolutely been stinking it up and everything. Now, does that mean that his cards may not go back up? They probably will. But the thing is with the Bowmans, at some point in time, they're not going to go up in value as much as you think, because people are going to want them in a Cincinnati Reds uniform, not in a minor league uniform. So that's that piece right there.
Yeah, the Bowman thing is like, that was one of the things I really dove into and learned. Because like I was saying, is that baseball to me is the best sport to buy sports cards in if you're looking to invest and flip. Because unfortunately with football cards, everybody only wants the quarterback. It kills me. It kills me. I feel like it's there's two things. Well, there's a lot of things, okay? But two things I'll give you right now that kill me about the hobby. One of them being the absolute disgraceful amount of respect that other players in the hobby don't get. Okay, like I understand the love for the quarterback, but I do not understand the disparity and the gap in value between other skill position players and the quarterback. Now, listen, you're going to get guys like Justin Jefferson who can compete, with I'd say can compete with the lower end of the top tier of quarterback value.
Yeah.
That makes sense, right?
I agree.
But like in basketball, like when we were growing up, it was like, yo, if you were an all-star, your card was valuable, right? Like it wasn't like now where it's like you could be an all-star, you could be a top 5 scorer in the league, and you might not even be in the same conversation with some of the other players and guys who are just rookies. So like when basketball, it's like either you're a rookie or you're one of the 5 superstars. Outside of that, like it's there's the value gap is crazy. Like you can be in a second year card of a guy who's averaging 26 and 8. Right? Like to me, that's in an all-star. Like that should have some value, right? But there's probably like a $2 card, a dollar card, right? Like even if it's serial numbered or something. Like so like in baseball, the value of these guys aren't they're getting drafted. Like, I mean, you have a very few of these guys who are like drafted and play in the same year that they were drafted. Like the Angels had a couple of guys this year, Zach Neto, and then the other guy, but like a lot of these guys are going to have 2 to 3 years of products that are going to be coming out before they even touch the major league level. So it's like those guys, think about it, there's 30 guys for each roster in Major League Baseball, plus the Major League Baseball roster. So you're talking about 60 guys times, however many teams there are in baseball, the all of players. So the pool is much larger. And as long as you are hitting the ball, you're fine. But think about it. All those positions hit except for the pitcher. And then, I mean, like, pitcher value is not the best, but there's still value in pitchers, obviously. Right. You know what I'm saying? But like, so for me, it just logically, it made sense to dive into the world of Bowman. So like learning Bowman was one of the best things I did for my business. Because I generally do this with baseball, but I do it with other sports too. I put my cards into 3 piles, right? I have my pile of, like, this is like the same guy or the same card, 3 piles. I have one that, I'm going to sell immediately. I have one that I'm going to hold for a, midterm pop. And then I have one that I'm going to hold. That's how I do it. Because that way, like, if I see a guy like Ellie De La Cruz, like when he hit the cycle, there was a guy that just so happened to be lucky to have his first Bowman refractor, just a first Bowman refractor, ending on auction, or Mojo. It was a Mojo, and ended up selling for $230 that night.
Wow!
And like maybe like 5 months ago, you probably could have bought that card for $10. You know what I'm saying? So it's like it's just, and that's the other thing too is when you're buying the Bowman stuff, never buy Bowman singles until like 3 months after the release, because the price is going to drop no matter how the player performs. I mean, there's obviously an exception to the rule, but 95% of the cost of those cards are going to drop over the next 3 months. So that's when you buy to kind of invest, as far as it's good to, like, you can buy first Bowman guys. They might not be the hot name, but buy them because it's so good to stash those cards, because when they pop, you're so good.
To your point, like Big John says, baseball has more hype cycles to sell.
Longer season.
Yeah, they do. Longer season. They had that first pop. Oh my gosh, just drafted, so on and so forth, and then, a guy, like you said, kind of cools down and stuff. And then all of a sudden, he goes on a tear in the minor leagues. And then all of a sudden he's popular again and stuff, but maybe he gets an injury and so on and so forth. That's the other thing. I think injuries are looked at different in baseball than they are in some of the other sports, because especially if you're a young player or you're in the minor leagues and you get hurt, right? In football, look at, you hate to talk about, but look at Nick Chubb from Monday, right? Devastating injury and stuff like that. Could it be career ending? Most definitely could. But the problem you have is if Nick Young, if Nick Chubb, if it was a minor league game per se, right? And he was younger, people would be like, all right, hey, don't worry about it, man. He has 15 years ahead of him. It'll be okay and stuff. Where I think you look at when you look at the baseball players, people don't give a crap if so and so in the minor leagues had Tommy John surgery. He was the third pick in a draft, like Kumar Rocker, right?
Yeah.
Got drafted again. Then the Mets let him go. Then Texas got him. People bought into the hype and everything. Oh, he had to have Tommy John. People were like, who gives a crap? Actually, he'll probably be better.
Yeah.
And
Andrew Painter is another good example.
Yeah, when he comes back and he starts to pitch again, those first Bowman Chromes and stuff are going to get a little bit of a spike.
Yeah,
because he's back.
And you can find those first Bowmans all throughout the bargain boxes. I mean, Firestarter Break says Jason Dominguez. Boy, is that an absolute case study of the hobby.
Yep.
That has got to be. I mean, Jason Dominguez, when he came out, his first Bowman in 2020, that was the hottest card.
Yep.
And people were, it was through the roof. And then through 2021 and he was batting like a $113. He was striking out like one every 2 or 3 at bats, and people were like, oh my God. And I kept telling people, like, the dude is 18 years old, first of all. Okay.
Yeah.
Second of all, like, a lot of these guys, like, when you look at baseball, like, yes, you want to look at a strikeout to walk ratio, but that's something that you look at as they progress up the levels and, as they get older, obviously. At 18, guys are going to be striking out. There's a few rare cases. Ethan Salas for the San Diego Padres. This kid, they've been scouting that kid since he was 14 years old.
Oh, yeah.
If you guys don't know who Ethan Salas is, his first Bowman just came out in that 2023 product. That kid is a stud. But anyways, so then Jason Dominguez, his card value, it was like the craziest time because you got to think about it. COVID, prospect, Yankees. I mean, the recipe for absolute just control of the market was all there, and then it just crashes with the COVID, the market correction, with him batting 100, it just, and the buzz just died. And then
didn't some of his Dominguez's cards sell for like either over $1 million or close to $1 million?
Oh yeah. It was there was a couple, I think he had 2 or 3 really big sales. And then he started to get a little bit more buzz again, 2020, end of 2022, right? Started getting a little bit more buzz. I remember, though, this off season, because he was at camp with Volpe. And so, like, the spring training, like, his buzz started to get back again. And people were, like, asking, hey, you got Dominguez, you got Dominguez, you got Dominguez. And so, like, his price started going up again. Pretty much the entire year, for most part of the 23 season, he was playing like horrible, and so like he still had a little bit of value. Smart people were buying him, always asking for him, because you always buy Yankees prospects. If there's anything that we're going to learn today, always buy Yankees prospects, especially when they're cheap. And
I've heard that from everybody.
Then he gets called up, and what does he do? Hits a home run in his first at bat.
Yeah.
And then he hits 4 home runs in his first 8 games. Yeah. And then he tears his UCL. Tommy John surgery. So it is that. I'm so glad you brought that up, because that's, like I said, like, that's a case study of how a market is affected by all of these different things on a player. Like, the potential's there, doesn't live up to the potential. He's still young. He potentially gets there. Then he gets injured. It's the Yankees are not playing well. Like, it's just all of that. It's such a brilliant thing to kind of just sit down and look at if you really want to dissect cards in the market and stuff like that.
Yeah, and I think what will happen is his cards now will go ahead and dip, and there will be a bunch of people who will jump on him, and they'll hold him, because when he comes back, and then he comes back, he gets off to a hot start, they shoot up, boom, boom. Thank you very much. I'll take my profit, and I'll go home and everything. So, Big John says, you have to be careful. Yes, prospect fatigue. You feel it's going to happen with Ethan Salas. To think about Ethan Salas, from everything that I've heard, the problem you have this: he may not be a prospect for that long. Like, he could go through the system quickly.
I mean, he could be. So I'm pretty sure, if I'm not mistaken, Alex Rodriguez is the youngest player ever, right, in modern baseball to play the major league level. He was 19.
I think so.
I think it
I'm
was
not
Alex
sure.
Rodriguez at 19. So yeah, so like Salas has just turned 18. So yeah, so you that's the one thing. Like what he's saying though is so true because there's a
It is.
lot of guys that are like that. You know that they've been out since 2019. It's like the opposite of what I said before, where it's like they've been out since 2019, but they've been in 2020, 2020 Chrome, 2020 draft, and 2021 Chrome, 2020. So like next thing you know, they have 20 prospect cards. But like a guy
Yeah.
like Salas says, I think Michael's 100% right. Like he might not be down there for long. Jackson Holiday, I mean that kid, he might get called up in September. You know, as we get down here to the end of this month and into the postseason, they might use one of those extra roster spots just to bring him up. You know what I'm saying? So we'll see how that goes. But yeah, it's interesting because baseball playoffs is a great time. Basketball playoffs and baseball playoffs are great times to sell cards because those series are so prolonged. Like so like you have basketball playoffs last for what, 3 months?
Yep.
You catch a guy who goes on a streak in the playoffs, boy, it's time to sell. You know what I'm saying? So I usually, when it comes to playoffs, whether it's any sport, I usually take all the guys who I have cards up for each one of those teams, and I pull them all out and I list them all when the playoffs start, and then I kind of track the numbers just to make sure that I don't need to make any price adjustments on guys. Like I remember when Randy Arozarena went on that streak a few years back. Boy, I made a killing selling Randy Arozarena cards, and to this day, he's still one of the most undervalued players in my opinion. Like he just no love, but we'll see what happens in the playoffs.
Sure. Dalma said Andrew Jones was younger when he popped, right? I'm not entirely sure. Baseball's like my weak point. I wish I knew it better though, because my buddy Marty's making all kinds of money on prospecting, and he says the same thing about like the Yankees and stuff. He's always selling Yankees players.
Yeah, it's interesting because when I got back in, I was the complete opposite. I was 90% football and basketball.
Mm-hmm.
I was really heavy in football because I studied football. Yeah, TJ Warren, great example. Yeah. Chris knows, man. I remember when Chris was opening up mosaic packs on YouTube during COVID, man. Those were crazy times, Chris. I crazy times, man. But yeah, no, I will tell you that like I study football so hardcore because my other channel, like we make a little bit of money on that. We take it very seriously, like not to the point where but we study the game. And so and I watch a ton of college football. So for me, it was easy to get back into football when I first got back to the hobby. And then basketball was like hard. It was impossible to ignore because in the revitalization of the hobby, right, through COVID, it was basketball cards that were the leading force in the hobby going through the roof. John Morant, Zion, literally, you could say what you want about those two guys, right? As players or whatever. Like I still think Zion has an opportunity to be good. Is he going to be what I think we all thought? Probably not. But I was always a Ja guy over Zion. And obviously Ja's going through his own things right now too. But if it was not for those two guys, I do not think we are sitting here right now talking about sports cards. Even with the COVID boom, it just, without those two guys, the hobby does not go to where it is now without those two guys. It's kind of crazy to think about.
And you think about how many Prism base and Mosaic base of those two players got sent in to PSA to get graded. And then people waited 18 months to get them back.
Oh.
They were literally worth dollars when I got them back.
It's kind of crazy. Like that whole thing too. Like, and I feel like we would be doing a disservice to not talk about the amount of shadiness that comes along, and but that's with everything and anything, right? That becomes popular. There's going to be people in this world that take advantage of popularity, and they're scamming people. You know, we have the quality control between some of these car companies. You know, it's just, and you know, you got to be careful. That's why I think that sometimes you have to remind yourself why you're doing it, because you love it, right? I mean, you guys do what you do because you love it, right? This is what you love. You know what I'm saying? So it's like sometimes you got to remind yourself that before you start spending too much money, or before you just start trusting random people on the internet who are photoshopping coin cards. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, and then just be careful with what you're doing when it comes to breaking. You know, do your homework on some of these companies, man, because it is oh my God. Zion PSA 10 hoops.
Yeah, that's another one that went crazy.
I bet you, dude, I bet you the PSA pop counts on those cards aren't even accurate. I bet you they're not even accurate. I bet you they're way higher than what they're probably
are.
You know what I'm saying? It's just
they probably are.
And that's another thing too, is grading, man. I mean, the world of grading. You know how many cards I've sent in for grading? Yes. In since I've been back in the hobby, total.
I'm guessing 0, but am I wrong?
You're wrong. You're wrong. Not 0.
No, thousands?
Wow. Nope. 2 cards.
Oh wow.
I only sent in 2 cards this whole time to get graded. I'm a raw guy, man. I don't know what it is, but I just, to me, because I take it to more of a day trading sort of situation, and I've always been scared too. Like I'm scared, right? I'm like, man, because I just get the horror stories, man. And like, I've been looking at a card. I'm like, I'm like a horrible eyesight too. I see people with the microscopes and the cameras and the gloves. And I'm just like, I'm good, man. I just, it's too much stress for me, man. It's too much stress for me. But I regret it. I do. I regret not sending in some cards. And I still think that there are cards. I came across some crazy vintage, right? At the 127, the world's longest yard sale. Jimmy Old School Flips was filming this. Me and Carrie, we were out at this yard sale. This lady, shout out to Granny. She has a little house off, maybe 6 or 7 miles off of 127. We're talking in the middle of nowhere, Tennessee, right? So we're out there, and I'm in her little shed, and I see a couple of 50s baseball cards in Ziploc bags, Casey Stengel and stuff like that. So I'm like, I bought one because there was only one that was in worth condition. And I told Carrie, I was like, yeah, there's some cards in there, man, if you want to go take a look. So he comes out, he bought a couple. We're walking back to the cars, and the old lady's daughter screams, and she's like, hey, you guys want to see some more cards? And Carrie and I look at each other, and we're like, yeah. So we go back there, and she just starts bringing out these Ziploc bags full of vintage cards. Hank Aaron, Clemente, Willie Mays, Sonny Jurgensen, Johnny Unitas. All of them. And so Carrie and I are just like, and we didn't want to be cheap, but at the same time, listen, this is what we do. We buy low, we sell high. So we kind of I picked through some of the ones I wanted because I'm all about condition more so than I am with name recognition when it comes to vintage. Because I think that sometimes a really good condition card of even just a common has more value than people think it does, because there's still a huge community of set builders out there.
Oh yeah,
and people that are always constantly trying to upgrade the card that they already have. But I grabbed a few, and Carrie grabbed the rest, obviously, and so I want to get those graded. But I like my vintage cards in the SGC slab, man. I know it's not necessarily the value of a PSA, but I love the look of a vintage card in the SGC slab. To me, it just it looks the best. So, yeah. But I graded 2 cards, and this is just recently, maybe 6 months ago. I graded a Justin Herbert rookie auto 5 out of
Nice.
5. Out
That's
of
gradable.
Yeah, I think that's a good one.
I think that's worth sending.
out of but it's out of legacy. Okay. So
Alright.
this goes back to the thing I was telling you about, that there's some things I hate in this hobby, right? But that was one of them. The other one was it got a PSA 9. So pop count is obviously 1. There's only one graded higher. And then the Jeremy Pena Bowman Sapphire rookie card photo variation.
Nice.
I got that graded and it came back a 10. So
Oh, there you go.
yeah, so I'm sitting on those are the two that I actually sent in for grading myself. But that thing kills me. No, Acuna takes it. There's no, I don't think Matt, shout out to Matt Olson having a great year, but there's no way Acuna doesn't take that. The only other person that would be like on his heels would have been Freddie Freeman, but yeah, Acuna is my vote. But yeah, so the college uniform situation absolutely kills me about the hobby. I hate it. I think it's the most ridiculous thing in the world. I understand people wanting to have their rookie cards in the NFL uniform. I understand that. But the fact that like it's like, oh, why are they even making the cards at this point? Because people just brown nose rookie cards in college uniforms. I think it's absolutely ridiculous. And as far as reselling, I think there's actually a pretty damn good, possible value in some of those cards, because people don't realize how many fans there are of college teams.
Oh, heck yeah.
So it's like
I
always like, if you go down to Alabama, there's not one professional football team down there. So it's Alabama or Auburn. Like, that's it. You know what I'm saying? So it's like, for me, like, it kills me. I just wish people, and it's the way people talk about it too. Like, I remember going around with that card at a show and people just be like, can't do it. I'm just like, damn, dog, it's 5 out of 5. Justin Herbert, auto. Like, there's 5 in the world. I don't care if he's in his girdle and shoulder pads. Like, I can't even. I felt like I couldn't even give. I still haven't been able to sell that card. If I told you right now, right, Justin Herbert, 5 of 5, okay, PSA 9, legacy, diamond, penmanship, autograph rookie card, okay. If you had to just throw a number right now, what would you think that the value would be on that card? Mind you, he's in an Oregon uniform. It's a licensed product, but he's in an Oregon uniform. 5 out of 5 rookie auto PSA 9. One pop count 1, only one higher in the world.
I'm just guessing because
I mean, that's what I'm saying. Is like, you
I don't really
have
play
to
in the
guess.
higher end world, but I don't know, $500.
Okay.
Just because of the college uni.
Yeah.
I would imagine like higher for pro.
I was thinking 5 out of 5. That would probably be, I would think, maybe 1,200.
It's I couldn't. I tried to get 1,000. People laughed at me, right? Albeit this is off season. I tried to get 800. People laughed at me. Tried to get 600. People laughed at me.
Wow.
I'm holding, like, I'm like, at this point, I'm like, I'm not gonna go lower than 500. Right. That's why I think, and I knew when it came back, if it came back at 10, I probably would have had a better chance of selling it in a college uniform. But like, I came to the realization that it's going to be somewhere between 400 and 600, which I'm totally okay with, because I bought that. I got that card in a break when everybody was on the Burrow and Tua train, and nobody knew who Justin Herbert was, because at that time he was one of the quarterbacks drafted in the first round. But out of all those teams in that product, they were the cheapest of the quarterbacks. So then I was like, all right, well, somebody that was in a break and nobody bought them. And so there was basically like, who wants to charge us for $15? I was like, that'd be me. And so like, I'm $15 into the card, but like, I don't know. I feel like that card should be worth more money, right? Like, just because based off of his contract, based off the way that he plays, based off the projection of his career, 5 of 5.
I'm going to say there's only 5.
Like,
Yeah.
like, what do you want? I don't know what you guys want from me. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah.
So it's just like stuff like that can get very, very frustrating within the hobby, you know. But like, at this point, I think I just hold it and wait for the right moment during the season. Like, hopefully they make a playoff push or something like that. But like, it's crazy, and that's the thing, man. There's so many college football fans, but the
Mhm.
market it just doesn't represent it. I don't know. I wish there was things like that. I just wish I were different in the hobby.
I think it's the
I
higher.
wonder.
I think it's the higher end stuff though, because I mean, like you take some of the guys that are today. Bijan Robinson. I've sold a couple of his cards in his Texas uniform, but they've only sold for like $4 or $5 or anything, right?
Hmm.
Yeah.
I don't know if I had a Bijan, out of 5 on an autograph. I don't know what the number could have been, but I wonder if I wonder if with college it's also partially uh, a dollar,
Cap.
has a dollar effect to it, where people look, well, he's already a pro. If I want to get his autograph, I'll get it
Yeah.
on in the Chargers uniform rather than the Oregon uniform. But it's like, but you would think that there would be a diehard Oregon fan
Yeah.
Well,
who
that's
who,
what I was
who
gonna ask.
who
Is
only
would it
loves
be better?
Oregon and loves seeing him in that uniform, loves seeing
Mhm.
and a 5 of 5. You would think there'd be at least one of them out there somewhere.
Crazy.
Well, that's what I was gonna ask with your Bijan thing. Like, obviously, Texas is a bigger school than Oregon. Like, imagine if it's like Alabama. Like, if Justin Herbert played for Alabama, or you pulled like
Would
a
it be
quarterback for
different?
Alabama, would that have already sold? Because I know for a fact, like, I bought a Joe Burrow auto, and I'm a Steeler fan, so I definitely didn't want no Bengals card. So I
Yeah,
actually
yeah,
bought
yeah.
it in the LSU because it was like maybe 25% of like even like a mosaic auto for Burrow. You know what I mean? To get like a really nice, like off-brand college autograph of him, in
And
the LSU uniform. But I would imagine even like a school like LSU would probably outsell like perhaps like an Oregon. Um, and I don't know how big their fan base is. I just imagine it's probably not as big as like one of like the bigger schools in the nation.
yeah, I mean, and they do have a good fan base. I mean, they're a top 10 school. I'll tell you what, that game against Oregon and Colorado
Holy crap!
is this weekend.
If Co- if
Oh
or
yeah,
if
that'll be a good one.
Colorado State got the audience they got, I can only imagine what
Hmm.
Oregon's gonna get. Because number one, well, think about it. You talk about how many people initially at least turn their channel to Oregon just to see what the hell they're wearing.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, very
Right?
true. Oh
If they
yeah,
have
they have
like
that
a
huge deal with
hundred and
Nike.
yeah, they have 150 different combinations of uniforms that they could go ahead and wear. You know,
But yeah,
um,
so it's just I don't know, man. I wish it would there would be a little bit more love for people in college uniform, and at least maybe not necessarily like I understand like your like regular stuff, like I understand that, but a 5 of 5 rookie card auto like of a quarterback, it's not like I'm trying to get you to buy a tight end or something here,
Yeah.
guys. Like that one just blows my mind, but like it is what it is. I probably should have sold it earlier. Do the socks match the hat? My socks are they match the hat. You want to know why? Because Notre Dame probably gonna win the championship, and my socks are champion.
There you go.
My favorite
Always.
sets to
Donald
collect.
said, "Do you have a favorite set?"
Okay, I don't have an like absolute favorite set, right? I've been trying to break it down by sports and eras, I guess. I absolutely love tall boy vintage basketball cards. Those are my like if I can find
Yeah.
Yeah.
tall boys in good conditions,
Hmm.
man, I will eat it up. I absolutely love the tall boys. I will tell you Deckle Edge vintage baseball, the Deckle Edge set is one of my favorite sets too. I think that set is super undervalued. It's those cards are so hard to find in good condition and centered. So I love the Deckle Edge set when it comes to vintage baseball. 90s stuff, anything metal, I'm all over. I'm all over all the metal stuff, man. I love Metal Universe stuff. Doesn't matter if Leaf, Fleer, all that. Like I love the Metal Universe. New Age stuff, it depends. I mean, the quality control has been so bad that like it's hard to find a set. Like I was gonna ask you guys, like, doesn't it suck that like that Mosaic football set isn't like looked at in a better light because it's the first year of Mosaic.
Yeah.
Like the first year of the Mosaic release. Like I remember just like being in like spending like $600 on release day on breaks.
Yeah.
Like, you know what I'm saying? So like I don't know. It's tough. Like then it's like what sets do I like versus what sets do I want to like I think have the best like flip value. I don't know, like for me, like as like a collector and like a enthusiast, I love some of the inserts. Like I judge a set on how good and how bad their inserts are. Like if I'm looking at as a set as a whole, that's how I judge. That's how I judge a set. So I mean,
how do you feel about all the inserts that are put in there now? I mean, so how do you judge that based off of some of them? It seems like, there's just as many insert cards as there are, base set cards. So how do you, is there too many?
For me, I guess I'm a little bit biased because to me, it's kind of nostalgic. Like it's like the reverse now of what it used to be. Like when I was in the 90s, like an insert was like, boom, yes, you know what I'm saying? Like, look at this. There's only like 10 in this insert subset. Like, yeah, Ken Griffey, Silver Slugger, insert, hologram out of Upper Deck. Like, you're losing your mind, right?
Yep.
Now it's
You're
like
right.
if you have a base rookie card and an insert rookie card, it's like 2-1 on value. You know what I'm saying?
True.
So I guess I'm a little bit biased to the nostalgia of an insert. So it's a very do I think they're putting too many in? Nah, I don't think it's too many. I think it's good. I'd rather have inserts than a 700 card prism set with 500 guys who aren't even in the league anymore. You know what I'm saying?
True.
Like I refuse to buy prism. I think it is the big, and you know what's crazy is that I understand why Prism has value because it's so damn hard to get a card of a guy that's actually playing in the league right now.
Yeah. Mosaic's getting like that.
Yeah, Mosaic's like that too.
I was watching a guy today ripped a hobby box, Mosaic first off the line. One of his 2 autographs was Rocket Ishmael.
Oh, see, I would love that though.
Right.
Because I'm a Notre Dame fan.
But if you're not, you're thinking, well, you seriously? Seriously. Like, I don't mind that guy being in the regular hobby box, but first off the line.
Yeah, very true. The worst though is like, listen, you get a two auto hobby box, right? And one of the autos is an offensive lineman, and the other auto is a head coach. You are not happy.
Yeah.
Well, you open up FOTL and one of yours is Panini friggin' points.
Oh, that's the worst. Grail cards in my collection. Oh,
the Herbert 505 is going to be there for a while.
Yeah. So listen, hey, you want to know what's funny is you talked about. Damn, I wish I should have had some pulled out for you guys. You know what sucks? You talked about earlier about buying your team that you want. I'm an Orioles fan. It used to be so easy to get Orioles and breaks. Now they're one of the most expensive, teams in all of baseball. So
they called up all those damn prospects.
Yeah. So I don't know. I have some fun cards that I really like and I've held on to. One of them being, so there's a Michael Jordan, Little Richard, and Spike Lee card.
Nice.
Really?
I have, yeah. And so I actually, I'm trying to upgrade it. I got it in a PSA 7, but like I got it in a PSA 7 for like $3 one day, like at a show. Like it was like in a half off box, and I was like, this is the most amazing thing in the world. So like I really like off brand stuff like that. I also have a Tiger Woods jumbo upper deck card numbered. It's like a crazy number, but all those cards in the early 2000s have like large numbers. It's numbered to 2000,
yeah.
I think, but it's a jumbo upper deck Tiger Woods to 2000, like in a like a special
Nice.
like plaque thing. So like
Yeah, that's low
I'm a
for the
so for
90s.
me, like, yeah, for me, like my grails are probably way different than most people because, like, I like the cards. To me, the grails are the cards that you can't find every day. Like,
Yeah.
that's just
Mhm.
what I love. So I also have, some of my Hank Aaron, my Willie Mays, Sonny Jurgensen, and my Johnny Unitas. Those are some of my, my vintage grail cards, obviously. And then like I got the Adley Rutschman rookie card, the project one. I have that still sealed. I never opened it.
Oh, very
So
cool.
Nice.
that's another one. All right, here's another cool one. Lauren Taylor, who's the artist for
Yeah.
those cards. I got to meet her, and I got a limited edition Ken Griffey Jr. National only project Topps card autographed by her. So her
That's
drawing
awesome.
of the Ken Griffey only released at National, autographed by her.
That's
That's
very
really
cool.
cool.
That one's one of my favorites. And then I also got another artist, my guy Chuck, who did the Cal Ripken and the Shohei Ohtani ones. I got a Cal Ripken one of him too. So like stuff like that to me is my grails. But I guess probably the Herbert's probably the most valuable card I'm holding on to currently. I sold a lot of big cards. When my wife was transitioning into her new job. So when we needed it, I sold a Burrow auto out of 25. I sold Jalen Hurts auto, who doesn't get enough love and value compared to some of those other guys. So
Yep.
yeah,
sure.
but it's interesting, man. Like sometimes you hold a card and you might not even know, like, and I go and I pull it out, and man, it's worth a lot more than what it was before, And sometimes you
Yeah.
have cards that are worth nothing, and they at one point they were worth hundreds, and you're
Oh,
just
yeah.
like, damn, I should have sold that. So that's why I only like to like hold on to and like things that I think are just off the wall sort of stuff, like different stuff, because it's just you don't come across those every day.
So you like the
sure.
pop culture cards, like a lot of stuff like Leaf will do and stuff like that?
Not necessarily that. I like. Oh, okay, I got a cool one. I got a Ernie Els, Tom Lehman golf card, game worn or match worn glove, dual patch numbered to 5. I
Oh,
love
wow.
that card. That's a cool one too. I like some of the 90s nostalgic stuff, like Yo MTV Raps. Like if you can find those in good grades. And the NWA like PSA 10 does really crazy numbers. That's a lot of fun too. But
I was looking at the Beastie Boys one.
yeah, like
the
stuff
Beast
like that.
Gang.
Like I mean that's cool. You know what I'm saying? But like, I like the era. So pre-war, but not like the tobacco cards. The era in between those two, I think, is a very undervalued era. The early 1900s up into the 1920s, like the Bowman black and white, and then the first year Bowman color, that sort of stuff as far as baseball goes. There's some Fleer base football sets that a lot of people don't like early on. Like, okay, here's another weird one. I like teams that don't exist anymore cards. Okay.
I do too,
Oh
actually.
no, that's really good.
I PC the Pittsburgh Pipers and the Condors.
That's awesome.
ABA.
Yeah. So like Seattle Pilots cards, the Colt 45 cards, those cards are crazy too, because like, the whole thing that went down between the Colt 45 and making them change the name to just the 45s. So yeah, so stuff like that. What's another good one? The Houston Texans or the Dallas Texans. I can't remember which one it was, but they were only a team for like 2 years, 1 year. Football. They have some crazy cards too. So stuff like that I really like.
That's very cool. Didn't think of. I mean, that's really yeah. I mean, because you're right. I mean, again, it's one of those things where probably undervalued because people think, who the hell's gonna want cards for teams that are no longer in existence?
Literally got my mind going down a rabbit hole. I literally have to know right now if a Steagles card exists. Like
Dude,
during the war back in the day, the Steelers and the Eagles
Yeah.
became one team for like one season.
They
Dude,
were
There's
called.
a Steagles card.
Wait.
I
They
need
were
one.
called the Steagles.
The Steagles. It was literally half Steelers, half Eagles. They were the Pennsylvania Steagles.
that's wild.
Yeah.
Like, see, something like that. That's the thing you got to think about. Collectors are the ones who are spending money. Okay, people like us, we're not necessarily spending the money that collectors are spending. Because we're trying to buy low, right? Like, how many times I've been to a card show, I've seen these cards, like these kids, their phones out and the comp this, comp that, where you at on this, value that. Like, they're using like lingo. I'm just like, dude, man, just buy the card, bro, man. You're killing me right now. I don't understand what's going on. So, like, it's the collectors that spend the money, man. That's what you got to remember. So, like, for me, like, the hard to find stuff, man, it's what's gonna demand the dollar in the long run. Ticket stubs too, man. I love me some ticket stubs because that sort of stuff, they don't have tickets no more, man.
Okay. So now, do you find of ladder because I mean, so as we talked about at the beginning, you resell, all kinds of stuff. When you go on your garage sale stuff, are you looking for ticket stub type stuff? Are you looking
yeah.
for, oh yeah.
My mind is always set on everything. So like, like I won't necessarily like ask like because if I had sat there and asked at that point, I might as well just hand somebody a damn piece of paper of all the things I'm looking for. You know what I'm saying? But like if I see ticket stubs, yeah, absolutely, I'll look at them. Like sometimes if they're cheap enough, you just buy them and hope that one of them was like a crazy event. But like you find like a Tiger Woods first Masters badge, something like that, like. It's not going to say it on there, but it'll be the date. Like somebody might not know that, but if I know it, so like
Right.
I'm going to pick it up. You know what I'm saying? But like, a lot of times now too, you got to think about like this, man. When the hobby boomed, everybody pulled out those 1970s to 1990s cards and think that they're millionaires again. And like you get digging through that stuff. It's like. I can tell. I've dug through so many bargain boxes, right? And so many boxes, especially Bowman baseball. I can tell you the year of the card from the top. So like I can look above the top of the row in the box and I could like be like, that's a 2020 Bowman. Those are 2021 Bowmans. But without even pulling them out of the box. Like that's how many boxes I've dug through.
Oh wow.
Nice. Yeah, that's definitely a skill set.
Like I know you guys have been there before, where by the time you get to, you get there at 8:00. By the time you get to 3, 4 in the afternoon, you got to look at the cards like this because your neck hurts from looking at them like this. So I'm like, I have to lift it up so that my neck isn't down anymore.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
for sure. I actually got a. It's not a Zion case. It was like equivalent to a Zion case on Amazon, and I was like, man, this thing is too damn big. It's heavy. I'm lugging it around, and then I realized one day when I sat it down, I could actually sit on that sucker because it was heavy duty enough. It was big enough. So now, like, that's the game changer. I literally bring the case around. I put it right in front of the bargain boxes, and I literally will sit there for hours. And people were just like, "Wow, man! Like, you're like the smartest guy in the room. You brought a chair." It's my slabs. But.
I try not to sit down sometimes. Sometimes I have to, but like sometimes I try not to sit down because then I'm like, I don't want to get back up, man. Like,
oh yeah.
It's tough though. Sometimes, like sometimes you want to look through every card, and then other times, like because it's the FOMO. I'm like, damn, I know there's like a $20 card in this dollar box. I'm gonna find it. But then, like 6 rows through, you're just like, dude, this is not the card. This is not the booth. I'm gonna have to. Yeah. Sometimes you guys gotta chuck it up and move on to the next one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Definitely.
I mean, and you know what? You're right. You you may miss that $20 card, but you may go to that box where there's a $40 card.
There you go.
You know, that
There you
somebody doesn't,
go.
know about and stuff like that. Especially when you go to again, like we said earlier, especially when you go to the bigger shows and you get the guys, that are planning. They have the bigger booths and stuff. So they're building their boxes and line up all that crap, way before the show. So if guys pop and stuff like that, they're not digging through,
So,
for any of those guys and stuff like that, or do somebody does something special. They're not going through. They don't have the time to. And that's why, the person who gets there early in the morning and takes the time, or the person that comes out ahead and everything.
I got 19 Ellie De La Cruzes at the Chantilly show the weekend where he popped off and hit the cycle in bargain boxes. 19.
Oh wow.
So like
That's
I
awesome.
said, when I go to card shows, I go open to close every single day. That's just how I roll. Like for me, it's I don't know, like it's just man, it's different. It's just different. Like I can go to yard sales all day and stuff like that too, but like card show open to close, man. Like last time Chantilly show, I got a boy who's got a booth and he comes up from Virginia Beach. And so like I always have like 3 or 4 guys I go to first. I see them first because those are my guys. They take care of me. You know what I'm saying? So I go see them first. So the last day, my guy's like, hey man, my buddy, he's got a card shop and his coworkers had to leave and he needs somebody to help him break down his booth. And I was like, what? I'll do it. $100. I'm like, yeah. So I'm here anyways. I'm the last person in the building in this big ass convention center. He's gonna give me $100 to break his booth down and carry it to his car. Hell yeah, man. So like I'm breaking down the booth. I realized that, man, for those of you that don't know, them glass cases is heavy as hell, boy. I'm like, he's all the way at the end of the convention center. I don't have a dolly, so I'm carrying 4 glass cases in 2 hands, dog. Halfway through the convention center, I gotta stop and catch my breath and then pick it back up and start walking again, right? But the cool thing was, he gave me the badge so I could walk backstage and stuff like that. And
very cool.
Earlier that day, I found out that one of my favorite movies ever is Cool Runnings. I found out that all the cast members from Cool Runnings were there signing autographs at the show. And I was like,
That's awesome.
damn. So like I'm walking backstage, I walk out the back door and there's a guy in front of me pushing a dolly and a helmet falls off the dolly. And I see this guy go and pick it up and he puts it back on the dolly. And I look up and I'm like, that's Junior from Cool Runnings. And I'm like, dude, so I walk up to him and I'm like, listen, man, I know this is totally against the rules and I don't want to be that guy, but can I get a picture? And his handler looks at him and looks at me, he's like, yeah, make it quick though. I got to get him to the airport. So me and Junior are taking a picture. Nicest guy in the world. But I was like, dude, this is so awesome. Like, and it just remind me, like, sometimes that's what those shows are about,
Yep.
man. Finding that card,
That's
bumping
awesome.
into that person, having a good time, man. But yeah, that was awesome.
That's really cool.
It's all that stuff. I mean, it's the, we use the cards as an excuse for the experience. It's really what it boils down to. I mean, I go to the National, and I walk around, that museum because to me that's what it is. It's a museum of cards.
Mhm.
And I sit there and go through the dollar boxes also and the quarter boxes also and stuff, so it's the, and the experience, and me and my son, we went and everything. And, we wound up meeting a couple other guys, that we see on YouTube and stuff like that and said hello and hung out and, went and had some dinner together and just BS'd and all that, all that kind of stuff and everything, so that's the other great, thing about it and stuff, it, it is, it's the, everybody, they get so upset with the investors and stuff like that and everything, and that's fine. But there's way more collectors
Yeah.
than there are those guys,
And that's the thing,
you meet
too.
the crazy people.
Let them, like if that's what they want to do, if that's how they find joy and that's how they want to spend their money, like that's fine. Let them do that. It's it doesn't affect us. So like I think that it's just, like, feel the rhythm, feel the rhyme. Come on, y'all. It's bobsled time. You're dead done. No, like, yeah, I think it's so easy to get caught up in that sort of tiff that happens within the hobby, especially like here on YouTube. But
Yeah.
I think it's just worry about you. Enjoy what you enjoy. It's like when resellers, like, and when we go, there's enough stuff out there for all of us. It's the same thing with cards, man. Like there's enough stuff out there for everybody. Let's have fun. Let's try not to think about it too much. Would you collect Washington Senators cards if you could find them? Probably. I mean, maybe. I don't know if I would collect them. Would I pick them up? Yeah, but I wouldn't collect them because I'm an Orioles fan. Yeah, so like I don't do the national stuff. Although I love some of the Nationals' young prospects.
But I tell you, it's cool when you see, like, you go by the tables that have the vintage, and the boxes and stuff, and you see the guys there, and you see the old school dudes, school dudes with their notebook,
binders,
with their notebook
pens.
And their binders.
Yeah.
With right? They have the numbers written down in pencil.
They don't even look at the cards from the front. They look at them in the back because they're just looking for the number.
They're just looking for number. And these guys, they sit there, and they're the old school ones. They have, the composite notebook. Everything is handwritten, what they need, everything. No, they're not whipping out their phone. They're not bringing out a computer printout sheet. It's written on a freaking piece of paper and pencil, and they're sitting there just going through, and it's cool.
Yeah, I love it, man.
Totally agree, Dom.
Yep. Excuse me. But I know we're going late there. I did want to ask you about Whatnot if you still have some more time.
Yeah, for sure.
So, how do you find it selling on Whatnot versus your other, places that you sell?
So first off, I have to be obviously transparent that I was early to Whatnot. So I've been selling on Whatnot for over two years now.
Oh wow.
So I've been on there a long time, and I sell multiple different things. Whatnot is a different beast. I've done breaks on there. I don't enjoy selling breaks as much as I do singles because in the singles I can like take the time to talk about a guy. So like I really take my time to sell things that I know. Like, there's nothing kills me worse than seeing a guy trying to sell a card to me that doesn't even know how to say the guy's name. So, you know what I'm saying? So, like, for me, like, I invest the time in what I'm selling to people. I don't try and sell the highest dollar amount cards. I listen to the people. So, like, people will tell me, hey, do you have this guy? And I'll be like, nope, but I will next time. So then I keep a list of the guys that people are asking for. I go to the card shop and I dig through the boxes till I find those guys and bring them back and sell them. I don't make a killing doing that, right? But what I do is I built a relationship with my buyers. So like that's one thing. The other thing is like it's forever changing. So sometimes like right now I haven't been selling on Whatnot cards for like the last like month. I've had some personal things I had to deal with. It's made it a little bit difficult for me to get to the card shops and stuff like that, and it hasn't been a lot of card shows during this time of year. So like I take steps back and I reflect, I study, I see what's happening on throughout the app, and then I come back and I kind of readjust the way I attack it. But I absolutely love it. Now you have to know what you're buying your stuff at versus what you're selling your stuff at. That's the big thing. Is that like you got to remember like people are trying to get deals on Whatnot. Unless it's the super high end stuff, and it's just like a vintage clothing expo. I learned this early. The first vintage clothing expo I ever did. People either want the grails or they want the bargains. That middle range stuff is so hard to sell. So like for me, like, I try when I go to a card show or I go to the card shop, I don't look at how much I pay per the sticker price on a card. Okay. I take the amount of cards that I got and I count them up and I divide that by the amount of money that I spent, whether that's at a 3-day card show or that's, 10 hours at a card shop. So my goal is to try to keep it to a cost of $3 per card. Okay, so if I spend $10 on a card, but I get another card that for 25 cents, in the end, I want to be at $3 per card. So that way I feel comfortable going to Whatnot and starting my auctions at $3 because worst case scenario, I break even. You know what I'm saying, on that single card. But more times than not, I'm doing at my prime, I was running 12. I ran a 12-hour stream straight
Oh my gosh.
of singles by myself. It was March Madness opening day. So I went from the tip off of the first game until the final whistle of the last game. And I sold cards that whole entire day.
That's awesome.
It was by the end of the day though, I was like, the New Jersey Devils, and I'm holding up a Nets card. You know what I'm saying? So like, it got to me at the end. But yeah, for me, it's just about consistency. Providing like quality, like customer service. Knowing what you're buying and what you're selling, knowing what your customer base is, adjusting and adapting. And knowing that there's going to be times where you're going to go on there and you're not going to make squat. But that's just how it is. I mean, like, you can't like just pop on and expect there to be 20 people ready to buy your cards. I mean, that's not how it works. But like, sometimes you're going to get 50 people in your room. Sometimes you're going to get 7 people in the room. You got to be able to read the room, be organized. That's the other thing too, is like, I'm super organized when I go live. So like, I got every card preloaded. I got every card in the description with the team name. Either if it's numbered, I put numbered in there. If it's an auto, I put auto in there, so that if people come in, they can just search by whatever it is they're looking for. Then there'll be a lot number next to it. They tell me the lot number. I go over to my table. I pull that off, put it in front, run it, done. Super organized. You gotta be organized, because the last thing you want to do is if somebody asks you, "Hey, do you have Sedena Rafaela, first Bowman?" You don't want to be like, "Okay, yeah, give me 1 second." 15 minutes later, you're gone. You lost half of your room because you were digging through a box for 15 minutes.
Right.
But I love it. If you go with the right people, and there's tons of great sellers on there, man. I've learned a lot, met a lot of great people, made a lot of friends, and I damn near paid for my wedding selling on Whatnot.
Nice.
So,
oh wow,
awesome, man.
Now,
I'm always tempted to jump on. I just, every time I go on, I like lose my butt, because it's like I end up with the room of like 5 to 7 people, and it's like they all want like Joe Burrow for pennies.
Yeah, no, that's the thing, is that like sometimes you just got to be like, you got to build up a base of people that are looking for, because listen, we want Joe Burrow for pennies too. You know what I'm saying?
That's true. I mean, you're not wrong there. You're not wrong.
That makes a lot of sense now that you mention it.
That's how I look at it. So like, I see people get so upset, and I'm just like, when somebody says that, "Hey man, run a Joe Burrow at $1," I'd be like, man, if I would run a Joe Burrow for $1 too, man. Where are we going? Like, tell me the room. Let's go.
Yeah.
So like, I kind of just try to make light of situations like that, and you know what I'm saying, like. If you don't find a crowd, man, like, that's what it is to it. But like, also, like, I go and I follow all the other shows. So like, when I see people that are in streams looking for certain players, I don't jump in that chat and be like, "Hey, I got this guy," because not everybody is cool with that. You know what I'm saying? Right. And I don't want to be stepping on nobody's toes. But I will write their username down, write down what they want, and then when I'm getting ready to have a show, message them, "Hey, I saw we were in another chat together buying cards together, and I saw you were looking for this. I just want to give you a heads up. I'm going to be live tonight. I got some of these if you're interested in it. Just wanted to give you a heads up." Like, real chill, professional about it. Not like spamming, but just like, because a lot of times people, they want these cards. So like, they're like, "Dude, thank you, man. That's awesome." Like, they feel like you, and then talking with your chat, like, listen, I've had some brutal streams, bro, where I've made $13. I've had streams where I've made $2,000, $3,000. That's just part of the game.
Yeah.
But I think, like, to your point, it's if you're obviously the more consistent you are, the at least the better chance you give yourself of being successful at it.
1,000%. And you have to try different things. Like I make it so that, you know, anytime somebody's if an auction ends at $7 or higher, I'm just gonna I give them 3 free cards. So like, you know, like that's just gives somebody an incentive to spend a little bit more money. You know, and it's not like I'm giving them good 3 free cards. Not like, you know, just random cards. It's like rookies, numbered stuff like that. I do a pool box too. I don't do it all. I don't just do a pool box show, but I have the option where, like, if you want to buy a pool box at any point in time when I'm live, you can buy it and buy it now. 4 pools for $7. I was doing, and you get 3 free cards because you spent $7. So you basically get 7 cards for $7.
Oh wow!
And I mean, stuff in the pool box is like, I just pulled this out of the pool box. This card's numbered to 499. Leody Taveras, Mojo, auto rookie card. This Lucas Giolito's numbered to 250. Another rookie auto. Machado refractor. This one's numbered to 250. Another auto. 402. I mean, like, all numbered stuff, colored stuff, auto, stuff like that. But like, I know that, you know, if people are like, damn, that's awesome. It's like my way of kind of giving back. Like, hey, you want something for cheap? Dude, you could spend $7. I'm going to give you 7 cards. And I always ship fast. And I ship every card the same way, no matter if it's a $1 card or a $100 card. Every card goes in a penny sleeve, in a top loader, in a team bag, in between 2 pieces of cardboard, bubble wrapped in a bubble mailer. That's how I ship every single card. I might not sell as many cards as some people on eBay because I don't do standard envelope, but people know that my cards are going to get to them in good condition and not get lost and be on time, and like, I care. So those things are the little things like that.
Yeah. It makes a lot of sense, you know. And honestly, I think it's more personable too, being that they get to engage with you and actually like talk to you. And
I talk to sports, bro. Talk to sports. Sure. Like, some people just come to hang out and talk sports, and that's cool with me, because the last thing you want is dead air. And then like people just sit there and be like, hey, what do you guys want to see? If it gets dead like that, I just pick up a stack and I just start running. Yeah. So, and I think the other thing too is that if you can find collections are great. I bought a collection. Okay. I spent $200, and it was a lot of not good stuff, but there was a lot of like medium range stuff, a lot of non-licensed baseball stuff too. I put everything into piles: $1, $2, $3. I organized it all. I ran it all. Shipped it all in 3 days and made $800 from purchase to out the door. $800 profit. So like,
it's awesome.
You know what I'm saying? Like, stuff like that. Like, once again, you're looking at, I'm paying basically like 10 cents a card. So
yeah. Well, to your point.
Hold on 1 second. My wife is at the front door.
Oh, yeah, no worries. Do what you gotta do, man. Yeah, that's really awesome. You know, like I think that's probably been one of my hindrances with whatnot, is just lack of consistency. You know, like it for me, it was like super discouraging, like going on several times, and like each time I felt like I gave stuff that I could have sold on eBay for like way more. You know what I mean?
Well, exactly. Like, I'm looking at like a stack of cards that I have here, right? And people go, oh, hey, you know, you have any Jalen Waddles? Oh, yeah, I do. I have this, you know, die cut, you know, yellow, green die cut and everything. Okay, put it up. Well, if there's 5 people in the room, 6 people in the room, you know, really, I mean, you'd put that up for what? $4, $5 to start, maybe, or something like that. People are like, you know, you should start every, you know, can you start it for $1 and everything? It's like, yeah, but there's 5 people in the room. If one person is asking for a card and there's 5 people in the room, that means 4 other people probably aren't going to bid on it. So if I start it for $1, it's probably going to sell for $1.
I can't sell anything at $1 either, because you only make 50 cents on $1. The lowest I'll start a card, if I'm not signing a collection, is $2.
Oh, okay.
But I'll tell you another way around that too. If you have small rooms,
Mm-hmm.
winner's choice. Okay, so you put up 3 cards, anywhere from 3 to 5 cards, right?
Yeah.
Completely different cards. Maybe same sport, obviously, but like 3 different players. Now, if you have 5 people in that room, instead of one person asking for the card, there might be 2 cards up there that 2 different people are interested in. They might even be interested in the same card, but because they want their card, they're going to be bidding against each other. Now you've given them options. So it's like it increases the activity of the bidding outside of just one person who's a fan of this Orioles card. Now, if you have an
That makes a
Orioles
lot
and a
of sense.
Yankees card, you got an Orioles and a Yankees fan. Boom, 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 boom.
How do
That's
you do
true.
that with like the pre-made listing? As far as choice, do you just like run whatever, and then at the end they just pick, and then you just select the one that they pick?
So what you mean with
Like
that?
is
With that
Yeah, because
multi-choice?
normally like you have to have something up on the screen that like shows what you're actually running.
Yeah. So like if you know, like if I was doing winner's choice, I would just put a picture up like pre-listing. It would just be a picture of a bunch of cards, and in the title it would say winner's choice, right?
Oh, okay, that
And
makes
then
sense.
I put them. Then when I'm live, I have my card stands, so I'll put them up on the card stands, and then I'll be like, all right, winner's choice. Whoever wins the bid gets to choose which card they want. You know what I'm saying? But like generally, I try to just I list everything in advance, and people would know how my shows work. So like I'll go live, and there'll just be a bunch of numbers in the chat. So then I just pull all those cards because those are requests, and then I just run all those cards, and then as the show goes on, more numbers come in, more requests come in, and then if it gets to a dull point, I'll either run a giveaway or I'll just start running random cards. And then once I notice that the room is kind of dead, then I just call it, and then that's it. Move on to the next day.
Wow.
Yeah, I never would have even thought of choice. Like I've seen some like people do that on like YouTube auction, but I never thought like, because then if they are going after 2 different cards, you could basically, once the one guy picks the one card, you could be, hey, you want to match that for the card you're interested in.
Yeah, or you just throw in another card. Replace the card it just sold with another card. You're still gonna have somebody that might be interested in that card. So it just makes more sense for me for like especially lower volume rooms.
Yeah, that's a really good tip. Thanks
That's
a lot,
a really good idea.
I'm gonna definitely try that next time.
Well, hey, we've been going for almost an hour and 45 minutes. Tim, I mean, thank you
Thanks,
so
man.
much.
Hey, dude, man, this was
coming on.
listen. You guys are great. I am so excited to have an opportunity to, talk about stuff like this. Like it's not a lot of people who, that I know that are doing shows like this. So like like as soon as Anthony hit me up, I was like, dude, 1000% I'll be down. And I was like, man, like I know I could talk a lot, and I apologize if I ramble some, but like
I made it easy on us.
I get a little passionate, you know what I'm saying, about things that I believe in, and like I believe that this hobby is as strong as it's ever been. No matter what they want to tell you, the sky is not falling. Have fun. You guys are doing a great job, man. And I can't thank you enough for allowing me a platform and an opportunity to talk about the things that I love and things that I hate, things that I've learned. So hopefully, it helps other people, and other people found, some useful information, some smiles, and, enjoyed the show.
And we'd love to have you come back, man.
Yeah, man. Anytime, man. You guys just let me know. I'd be more than happy to jump on with you guys.
I think the thing is just remember it's a hobby.
Yeah. I mean, I can't stress it enough, man. Like sometimes like I post up cards that I sell, right? And I'm like, yeah, this card sold for $5. But somebody wanted this card because that's what they collect. Yeah. And sometimes it's it's the dollar cards, the $5 cards, like that's what some people want, man. Like it's not always about the flashy. Trust me, we all want to find $1,000 card and sell it. We all want to hit $1,000 card in a break. You know what I'm saying? But like sometimes the odds are just not in your favor, man. Hey, I appreciate you, Chris, as always.
Definitely. Thanks for being here, Chris.
Yeah, man. Any last words, Chris?
Nah.
I mean, Tim.
No, just listen, man.
Sorry.
Like, make sure you guys are showing these two guys love, man. They're doing us a favor by, you know what I'm saying, taking the time out of their days and their nights to sit here and talk about the stuff that we really like. So make sure you guys show them some love. If you guys want to find me, I'm all over Instagram and YouTube. There's a million over the years accounts and YouTube channels. But definitely, if you guys like football, come through. Make sure you subscribe to Authentic in the Beard on YouTube, because we do. It is a high quality content show about football. And we will be live tomorrow night and again Sunday morning. So if you guys like fantasy stuff like that, man, Sunday morning we give out all types of fantasy advice, and it's really well done and it's a lot of fun.
I will add that channel to the description.
Yeah. So yeah, you guys come by, hang out, man. Like, and tomorrow night we'll be doing some giveaways too. So that's another thing I do. Like, I get a bunch of resellers too who donate stuff for like giveaways, and then we give them away every Thursday. We do a giveaway to somebody in the chat. We throw up a trivia question, and then we send it out, and it helps promote other people in the communities, either Instagram, whatnot, their YouTube channel, stuff like that. It's a lot of fun. So we got some crazy stuff. I know you're gonna hate this because you're, well, you won't hate it because it's not like it's the Eagles. It's not like it's the Bengals. But somebody donated this throwback Eagles mini helmet. How crazy is that? That's a throwback mini helmet design.
Oh, wow.
That's
Brian Dawkins autographed mini helmet. So like that's going to be something we give away later in the season. We gave away like a CD Lamb card last week because it's NFC East based, so we give away a lot of that stuff. But like if somebody wins and they're a fan of another team, I obviously have a ton of stuff I can give away. But like, yeah, so it's a lot of fun. Come hang out, man. You guys will enjoy it.
All right.
Definitely. I did drop a link in the chat, and Michael will put it in the show description as well afterwards.
Yep, I'll get it added. Thanks a lot, everybody. Have a great night. Don't forget, check out Tim's show. He also is on YouTube, like I said, in the description. You go to YouTube, right on the front page, there's all his links for his Etsy, eBay, whatnot, Instagram, all that is right there. Hook him up over there. Next week, we'll be back on Anthony's channel. So don't forget to go ahead and catch us there. And then, we're gonna keep doing what we're doing, and hopefully, we keep giving you guys, a reason to keep coming back. So thanks a lot. Again, it's a hobby. Collect what you want to collect, and the hell with what anybody else tells you. Have a great night. We'll see you next week.
See you guys.